Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly. So thank you very much for joining us today in the OUCRU Open Day webinar. We organize the event every year to introduce to those who are interested in scientific research, especially in health and public health, about OUCRU, about particularly the PhD scholarship program. As you may know from our website, OUCRU has a history of more than 30 years in Vietnam, working on biomedicine clinical research. Especially, we provide opportunity for young Vietnamese researchers to further their academic pathway via a PhD training program. So we aim to bring positive impact to global health, especially in prevention and treatment for infectious disease in Vietnam and the regions. So along projects, research projects, we provide opportunity to enhance our local capacity in doing research in tropical medicines. For the agenda this afternoon, Lee, can you show the agenda? So firstly, we would like to take you to a tour around our units. And then you will meet Dr. Lee Jones, head of the Regional Academic Training List for OUCRU and MOCRU in Thailand. She will give you full information about the PhD scholarship program at OUCRU. So after her presentations, we invite you to join the representative from each research group who will introduce you why and what we are doing on their research. So following that, we have 10 minutes for question and answer. Then we will show you a short video about OUCRU research culture and training. To close the event, we have two junior PhD students, Dr. Nguyễn Thị Kim Anh and Mr. Thịnh, who will tell you their story on how they get on the way to work their PhD journey. Then after that, we may have a little time for question and answer, but definitely we will end at 4 p.m. So for a webinar like with large audience like this, I would like to ask for your help to mute your mic, your audio during the talks. You can raise question in the Q&A session, or you put the question in the chat box. However, there can be lots of questions in the chat box then, and I would suggest you can email us. If the question is not answered, you can email us with the question to the email of training oucru.org. I will type in the chat box for you later. So now it's the time for you to tour OUCRU sites. Over to you, Lee.
Thank you very much, Ian. Thank you for introducing the agenda for us today. So as Ian has so kindly introduced, my name is Lee Jones. I'm the Regional Academic Training Leader for OUCRU in Vietnam and also for MOCRU in Thailand. And it gives me great pleasure to be with you today and to introduce to you the amazing work that we're doing on infectious disease of importance across the region, particularly in Vietnam. And we're going to start today by giving you a quick tour of OUCRU Vietnam with our director, Professor Guy Thwaites.
Hey, Chi.
Hey Guy, good to see you. Where are we right now?
So we're at the Hospital for Tropical Diseases.
So what's so special about this place?
The Hospital for Tropical Diseases is a 550-bed hospital just for infectious diseases. It's probably one of the largest infectious disease hospitals in the world.
And?
And it's where OUCRU is. So come with me.
Wow, that's a huge building. What's in here?
So this is OUCRU. This is OUCRU's home. There are about 300 people working in here. We're part of the Hospital for Tropical Diseases. Let's go. Hey, Yui.
Hi,
What are you up to?
I'm doing some DNA extraction for Klebsiella pneumonias for whole genome sequencing. That is resistant to carbapenems and colistin that we collected from the Hospital for Tropical Diseases.
So this is the enemy, really, isn't it? And I think it's really useful to have a look at the enemy in the eye every morning, don't you think?
Yeah, this is true enemies. This is my motivation for my research, and that's why I have spent so many years to try to understand them.
Are there any machines to help improve the efficiency of your work?
Well, there are, yes, and that's whole genome sequencing. So I think we should go and have a look at that facility now. Should we go, Yui?
Yeah, sure.
Let's go. So Yui, this is one of our MySeq Illumina sequences. What are you doing with it here?
So I'm working on a whole genome sequencing of Klebsiella pneumonias. So not only we are doing the sequencing for drug-resistant bacteria, but also for emerging viruses, parasites as well.
Yeah, so those two things are really important for OUCRU's research. Emerging infectious diseases, drug-resistant infections, and the ability to sequence is really, really important to be able to understand how the bugs cause disease, but also how they spread around the communities.
I've heard that there are some really special labs here at OUCRU.
There are. There's the Biosafety Level 3 laboratory and the SAPO 4 laboratory. Some of the only labs like this in Vietnam, so we ought to go and have a look at them.
Wow, this looks like a highly secure place. So what really goes on in here?
So this is for very dangerous pathogens and for dangerous animal viruses, and there really aren't any laboratories like this in the rest of the country.
Can we go in?
No, you can't go in there, I'm afraid. You've got to have special training to be able to get in there, which is something that OUCRU invests a lot of time in doing.
Since we are in a hospital, do these research go to the field?
There's a really strong link between these laboratories and the hospital. The labs are here because of the patients. So at this point, I think we need to go and speak to Dr. Ian and see the hospital.
Hi, Dr. Yin.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, I am Lâm Minh Yến. I have been working with emerging infection group of OUCRU from 2016.
So where are we now?
Now I am in front of ICU department of Hospital for Tropical Disease.
Can we go in and take a look?
Not before you get the proper protection. Dr. Quang Minh will show you inside in the ICU.
Are there any new features being added to the ICU recently?
So OUCRU provide a wearable machine where so we can monitor the patient and many modern ICU beds.
In the COVID-19 pandemic, many OUCRU professors still give us some idea about the treatment for the patients. They still organize many case report presentations with us. They still have us with doing some research from the data in the computer. So OUCRU is still a very important collaborator with us.
Is this the same impact across the country and region?
Yes, so you can talk with my colleague in National Hospital for Tropical Disease.
Hey Thomas, you look all wrapped up.
Yes, it's winter here in the north.
Does that increase the incidence of infectious disease?
It does. The cold and humid weather favors the respiratory tract infections. So there are more community-acquired pneumonia in the hospital these days, and also people take more antibiotics. So it's the high season for antimicrobial resistance.
So tell us more about OUCRU Hanoi.
We are located in the National Hospital of Tropical Diseases on the premises of Bach Mai Hospital, together with other specialized hospitals.
Where else does OUCRU Hanoi have footprints in?
We have 3 sites, Two are in the NHTD, one in the city center here, one more in the north. This one in the north actually serves currently as a COVID-19 treatment center, and it also holds the OUCRU-built National Reference Lab for Antimicrobial Resistance. The third side is NIHE, the National Institute of Hygiene and Epidemiology.
All right. Hanoi is the capital of Vietnam. That's where all the decisions are made and where all the politicians are. And we felt it was important for our research to have a presence here in Hanoi, to be able to work with national hospitals, with national public health institutes, and to have a proximity to the Ministry of Health and to policymakers there.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Thank you. Actually, the unique thing about OUCRU Hanoi is that we have clinical research at the hospital, we have lab-based research, we have the epidemiology, and we have the public health arm.
So what do you guys focus on here?
Our research activities range from improving surveillance, improving diagnostic, to designing control intervention for hospitals, but also for the community. We also have some whole genome sequencing of multi-drug resistant bacteria, like, for example, you have here some results of a cluster of resistance Neisseria gonorrhea that has been identified in Vietnam.
Oh, are the research conducted only in the cities?
Not all of them. We also work in the rural areas in collaboration with the provincial CDCs, for example, in Nam Dinh and Hanam province.
Okay, so hopefully that gave you a little bit of a flavour of the offices in Ho Chi Minh City and in Hanoi in the north. Together, our OUCRU vision is to have local, regional and a global impact on health by leading locally driven research programmes on infectious diseases in Southeast Asia. So just to summarise briefly, you saw some really nice parts of the video showing you around OUCRU in both Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi. OUCRU, as you saw from the video, is based at the Hospital for Tropical Diseases in District 5 in Ho Chi Minh City. Our laboratories were exclusively funded by the Vietnamese government, and we now are home to 335 staff and collaborators who work together at OUCRU Ho Chi Minh City. As well as working with HTD, we also collaborate with many other hospitals and universities in the south of the country. In the north, in Hanoi, where we are situated in the National Hospital for Tropical Diseases, this is a very busy hospital that treats over 4,000 patients every year. In OUCRU Hanoi, we have 53 staff members, and similarly to the south, we collaborate with many hospitals and institutes across the north of the country. As well as Vietnam, OUCRU have offices in Jakarta, in Indonesia, where we're hosted by the University of Indonesia. And in Indonesia, we're looking at bench-to-bedside research to improve health for the Indonesian people. In Nepal, we're based in Kathmandu, hosted by Patan Hospital and the Patan Academy of Health Sciences, with a major focus being on enteric fever. The research at OUCRU is really, really diverse. While everything we do is focused on infectious diseases, this covers a range of diverse pathogens and uses a number of diverse disciplines. So obviously, over the past few years, we've been very active in the field of research for COVID-19, but we also have groups who are looking at emerging infections as their area of expertise, so looking beyond COVID-19. We also work on a number of other viruses, parasites and bacteria. So we work on influenza, malaria, typhoid, dengue, tuberculosis and hepatitis. We also have a very busy group working on zoonotic disease, so looking at how pathogens can pass between animals to humans. And respiratory infections are core to what we focus on, as well as enteric diseases. A major cross-cutting theme across our units and our research groups is the emergence of antibiotic resistance, which you will hear a little bit more about in our group talks. We do a lot of work in clinical trials. That's a huge focus of what we do, but we also work in the laboratories as well, looking at research on immunology, genetics, microbiology, epidemiology. We also have a large biostatistics group, a group working on mathematical modelling with some health economics as well. In the community, we also are doing a lot of work in using social science and implementation science, as well as public and community engagement. And you got a nice flavour from our video of some of the medical innovations that we do within the hospital. So in general, while we work in the hospital, we also work in the labs, in the office, and in the field within the community. OUCRU is proud to offer PhD opportunities, and every year we're delighted to offer the chance for talented Vietnamese students and clinicians to enrol in a 4-year training programme to obtain a PhD degree. This is also the case for our Indonesian colleagues. Successful applicants are registered at universities in the UK, but carry out the majority of their research work either at OUCRU Ho Chi Minh City or in OUCRU Hanoi. As I already mentioned, this research work focuses on infectious diseases relevant to OUCRU, Vietnam and the Southeast Asia region. Our fellowships include salary as well as tuition fees and any other related UK university fees, supervision and training, and also allow for periods of overseas training and also to attend conferences. You can see here some great pictures of some of our students when they enrolled at the University of Oxford, and also 2 of our graduates when they visited the Open University UK to present their research work. The OUCRU PhD programme has been running since 2000, and until the present day, we've graduated 122 PhD students. At this current time, across our units in Vietnam, Indonesia and Nepal, we have 37 PhD students carrying out their projects. Here you can see one of our newest graduates, Dr. Treyu, from the Hospital for Tropical Diseases, after her DPhil Viva at the University of Oxford with her assessors. And on the right here, you see one of the fun events we do at OUCRU when we celebrate our graduating students and also welcome our new students. It's one of our favourite traditions. During the PhD process, not only are our students busy with their research projects, but we also provide lots of training opportunities to enable them to develop both their technical skills and their transferable skills. So we have a number of training courses on topics such as qualitative research, biostatistics, epidemiology, a number of topics. In terms of transferable skills, we spend a lot of time training our students on scientific writing, time and project management, and how to present their science. There are also a number of useful events for our students, namely our annual Careers in Science Day, where we invite speakers to share their journey and their careers. And we also encourage our students to take part in as many public engagement activities as possible. Every year we join with our student cohort across our Thailand network to have an annual OUCRU Moru student conference. It's the highlight of the student calendar, and we always really enjoy that part of the year. This event is principally for our students to network with each other. They also take part in lots of training, and they compete together in our 3-minute thesis competition, where students have to describe their PhD work in just 3 minutes with only 1 slide. So it's a very demanding competition. Here you can see our prize winner from 2022. who was Miss Ashita Dahal, our PhD student currently based in OUCRU, Nepal, and she took home first prize. This is also a huge event where we invite local school children to come and learn some more about the PhD students' research work, and they also get to vote for their favourite talk. So that's all very interesting, but I'm guessing that many of you will want to know how to apply to our PhD programme. Well, first up, you need to be eligible, and to be eligible for our programme, you need to have a high-level degree in a relevant subject or have a medical degree. So generally speaking, our PhD students come with a master's, but sometimes with a BSc or a medical degree. You need to have an English language score of 7. And then you need to apply through the University of Oxford website. So every year in September, we upload a number of new projects to the Nuffield Department of Medicine website. So last year we had 9 new projects on offer. So if you're interested to see what projects we have this year, they will begin to appear and be advertised in September 2023. You can apply for these projects up until December 2023, and then we conduct interviews at the start of 2024. The earliest we can start to enrol our students, the people who are successful, is April 2024, or you may defer enrolment to later in the year. Every project comes with registration to a UK university. The project is for a maximum of 4 years if you conduct this full-time. We can allow for part-time PhD students as long as you can discuss that with us beforehand. And as I already mentioned, we cover all salary and research costs. If you're already a medical doctor and you want to continue working at your hospital, we can also provide additional stipend, but the salary will continue to be covered by your hospital. If you need any further details on this, you can ask questions in the chat box throughout the Open Day event today, or you can email us later at training@oucru.org. But what if you have an amazing idea for your own project? What if you do not want to apply for any of the projects that you see in September? Well, at any stage, we encourage you to check out our website at www.oucru.org and have a look at all of our amazing research groups. You will have a chance to listen to them today and learn more about what they do. So if you have a great idea, you can either contact them directly by looking at their research group pages on our website, or you can contact us and we will put you in contact with them. If you're going to suggest your own project, we will ask you to prepare a short project proposal, remembering, of course, that all of our research focuses on infectious disease and improving human health in Southeast Asia. We would ask you to have some aims and objectives and also clarify what gap in research you're trying to fill. You will also need to provide an up-to-date CV outlining your qualifications and job history, research experience, and to showcase your transferable skills. And also, don't forget a cover letter. At OUCRU, we're proud to build scientific capacity, and it's great to see our graduates going on to jobs across a number of different fields. So we have a lot of students who will continue to, after they graduate, do a postdoc with us. They may even run their own lab, become a senior member of staff. Some of our graduates go to become lecturers at local universities, some work in government, some continue to work in the hospital, going to very high positions, and others may go to industry or go overseas. So we really do have graduates all over the globe now doing a number of very important jobs. So that's an introduction to our PhD programme. I would like to thank you for your attention. And this is a nice photo from our student conference last year, where we had a lovely dinner in Bangkok, Thailand, after our 3-minute thesis competition. If you have any questions at this stage, do ask in our chat box. You will have lots of time later to ask some further questions. But now we're going to dive into our group presentations so that you can learn a little bit more about our different research groups at OUCRU. And we're going to begin in the north with our team from OUCRU Hanoi. Thomas, are you on the line?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Over to you, Thomas.
Perfect. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I'm Thomas Kesselman. I'm the clinical microbiologist from OUCRU Hanoi. And in Hanoi, the topic of that we study is antimicrobial resistance, the capacity of bacteria to resist to antibiotic treatments. So when they resist to antibiotic treatments, of course, they are more difficult to cure. It costs more. It is more damageable for the patient. So, and it's an incredibly complex situation. Probably every one of you has been confronted to one of these situations where you have a lot of people around you who give you advices on how to deal with a complex situation. And I give here Harry Potter, who is advised by all his friends and teachers on how to deal with Voldemort and all the dark forces, and no wonder why he has such headache, because they all give different advice and sometimes even conflicts between each other. So it's a bit the same with antimicrobial resistance. To deal with all the drivers and the factors that cause antimicrobial resistance, you have to deal with antibiotic use in the community, in the hospitals, antibiotic use in the animals, in the agricultural sector. You have to study the bacteria themselves. You have to set up surveillance system. You have to deal with hygiene and infection control in the hospital. You have so many things to do, and it's extremely complicated what to start with, what efforts we have to put in different interventions. And we have to do them all? Do we have to do one after the other? And what is the role of the environment and the context? What is workable in the Western world? Does it work also in Vietnam? And in Vietnam, does it work in the cities or in the country? And all of this is incredibly complex. So this is why we have this whole team of different researchers with different skills, different capacities, different tools, and I cite here a few of them, but the list is not even complete. You use epidemiology and mathematical modeling, microbiology, molecular tools, not only microscope, but also we sequence the genome of the bacteria, etc. We use skills related to antimicrobial stewardship, so how to make better prescription in the hospital, in the community, how to use antibiotics in the vet sectors, what is the contribution of the environment in this problem. We use social sciences implementation research. And for example, we have PhD students who work on how to make a better access to diagnostic in the district hospitals, because they don't have any tools to diagnose the infections, the bacterial infections. We have PhD students who improve the antimicrobial stewardship, so the prescription of antibiotics in the hospital. We have PhD students who deal with infection control and hygiene in the hospital. We have PhD students who work on the impact of community-based interventions in the rural areas. And so welcome to join the team to defeat that terrible foe that is antimicrobial resistance. Over to the next one.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Thank you for giving a flavour to AMR from Hanoi. And now we're going to move on to the Emerging Infections group presented by Cho. Cho.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Over to you.
That's great. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here today. And my name is Troop, and I'm a research assistant from the Emerging Infections Group. I currently take part in the detecting infectious agents in patient samples and via the application of RNA and DNA extraction and real-time PCR, sequencing assay for COVID-19, and metagenomics to detect unknown agents. That's enough about myself. I'll now introduce you to my most amazing and enthusiastic group. So my group is a very diverse and multidisciplinary research group, which people coming from different backgrounds and different research areas. We have miscellaneous projects which involve several research themes and diseases, which show here, listed here. And we are very honored to be able to have chances to collaborate with various national and international research units, such as the ICU rehabilitation projects that we collaborate with Melbourne University of Australia and the Eastern University of Vietnam, which we build the ergonomic bike for the ICU rehabilitation. And the like C covariant, which we have the consortium and the back in the February this year with Duke National University of Singapore, UK Oxford University, the Thailand Moru and OUCRU Indonesia. And show here is our proudly representative machine research platforms. For example, the Illumina, MySick machine that is used in the COVID-19 whole genome sequencing. And next to it is the research outcome that which is the phylogenetic tree, which constructed by us that show the evolution of the SARS-CoV-2 variants. And below are the new machine, which this one is for the immunological studies on antibody and T-cell responses. And we are there, and then there are some other cool things that I would like to mention is that we also do the, you remember the monkeypox cases in Vietnam? So we did the sequencing for that cases. And then also we have established OUCRU sero surveillance and serum bank for the vaccine studies and development. So in summary, in short, all of our researches are done to under one hope is to improve the diagnosis and management of patients in order to of patients with severe infections to leverage existing capacity in order to addressing the unprecedented challenges in emerging infections. And really welcome with us, and you will have a lot of hand-on experience and working alongside with world-class research scientists and join globally collaborative projects. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please leave it in the chat box.
Thank you, Chowtro. Thank you so much. And thank you to the Emerging Infections team. Moving on to our next group, I'd like to invite Dr. Van to talk on behalf of the TB group.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lê Hồng Vân. I'm a clinical research fellow in TB group. I'm also a medical doctor. So you can see the green thing in the center of the round. Can you guess what it is? A lot of people just ask me what it is. It looks like a toy, but it doesn't look like any animals. Actually, it is a model for Mycobacterium tuberculosis, the pathogen that causes tuberculosis. And this toy, my supervisor gave me 2 years ago, after I passed my Viva for DPhil in Oxford University. So this pathogen caused the disease of more than 10 million people a year. And even though we have treatment for this disease, it is still the top killer of infectious diseases in the world. So in our TB group, we work as a family. And in this house, we have 54 members divided into 6 different teams of clinical teams, where I am the clinical team lead, and the bacterial team, cell immunology, the direct team, pediatric TB meningitis, which is tuberculosis in the brain, and the epidemiology and microbiology group. So we work together as a team, as a family, to improve the diagnosis for TB so that we can get the right diagnosis for the patient and then treat the patient. At the same time, we want to understand more about this bacteria and how to treat it correctly. And if the patient got the disease, we want to understand how the body responds to the infection. And overall, we want to develop and test a new vaccine, and then we can prevent this disease. So the work of our group basically is try to diminish the impact of this deadly disease in human. So if you're interested in doing research, you have great ideas, you're passionate about doing research, join us in the fight against TB. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Van. And Van, I think you might have heard her mention that she's one of our graduates as well. So Van continues to work with us in the TB group. Always great to hear from you, Van. Thank you. Okay, and thank you, Van. And the next group we have is the malaria team. So I think we have Nyat on the call from malaria.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nyat from malaria group. And today I would like to share with you a story about a little girl named Mai. Mai lived in a rural village in mountainous areas in Vietnam, and where malaria was a constant threat. And unfortunately, not only my family members and friends are struggling against this deadly disease, but also thousands of people in Vietnam are affected by malaria. But imagine a world where malaria is not a danger. Imagine a world where children like Mai can grow up healthy and happy without the fear of this disease. In malaria group, we are working for this goal, and we want you to join us on our journey to erase malaria in Vietnam. And our journey begins with clinical trials. We work closely with local communities to find effective treatments in the way that respects their culture and values. And by doing this, we ensure that everyone has access to the latest innovations, and we can also identify new treatment therapy that can be used to control this disease. And besides with clinical trials in our laboratory, we are using modern technique about in vitro studies to early detect and follow the evolution of resistance, and then better understand how malaria parasites work. And finally, we are using molecular genetics to unlock the secrets of malaria parasites. By analyzing the genetic data of malaria strains, we are able to track the spread of the resistance. This work is allowing us to develop more effective treatments and prevention strategies. And together with these 3 components of our research are leading us to the malaria-free future, but we cannot do it alone. We need your support, your collaboration, and your commitment to this cause. And whether you are a researcher, a healthcare workers, or student, or simply someone cares about the health and well-being of others, we invite you to join us on this journey. And thank you for your attention. and we look forward to working with you towards malaria elimination in Vietnam. Yes, if you have any questions, drop the questions on the chat box.
Thank you so much, Nat. Thank you for your beautiful presentation and really interesting picture. Okay, moving on to our dengue team. Nwit, can you take the floor for us, please?
Yeah, thank you, Lee. Hello, everyone. My name is Nguyệt, and I'm a clinical postdoc scientist of dengue group. Today, I'm delighted to be here and introduce you briefly about our research group. We are one of the big research groups in OUCRU with nearly 30 staff coming from different backgrounds, including clinicians, nurses, pharmacists, scientists, engineering, etc. This slide shows you some of the research fields that we have been working on recently to fight against dengue, a very common viral disease in Vietnam. The first one is the intervention trial, which we have developed the largest program in the world over the last 10 years to assess the safety and the efficacy of the drugs in dengue treatment. Second, we would like to explore how we could respond to the invasion of the virus into our body by measuring the proteins that our blood cells have released and used as the weapons to fight against the virus. These findings will also help us to develop a panel of blood tests to identify which patient would progress to severe dengue. The third field focuses on the innovative technologies. According to the current guidelines, the doctors have to take patients' blood daily to measure the number of blood cells and to explore how virus affect our liver and kidney. However, the blood taking process can cause a lot of inconvenience for our patients. Therefore, we have been collaborating with the engineer teams in the Imperial College in the UK to develop the wearable devices to continuously monitor dengue patients. By this way, we aim not only to reduce the blood volume taken and minimize the inconvenience for patients, but also to provide more information about disease to the doctors to improve the treatment. And last but not least, we are working on how to forecast dengue outbreak in Vietnam in the near future using the information related to the climate, the number of patients reported annually, the viruses, the mosquito index, etc. These valuable data have been collected thanks to the National Dengue Control Program, which will help us to develop an effective tools to predict the outbreak so that we can proactively perform different prevention activity to reduce the number of dengue cases in communities. So for more information about our research, please contact us by emails given at the bottom of the slide. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your lovely presentation. Moving on to our zoonosis team, we have Chung.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chung, and I'm a postdoctoral scientist in the zoonosis group, and I'm very happy to represent my group today to talk with you about our research group. So, what is zoonosis? I guess Liz already mentioned a bit about zoonotic diseases in the beginning today. So zoonosis is the disease that can be transmitted to human from the animal, and an estimation of about 60% of infectious diseases and up to 75% of new emerging infectious diseases are actually coming from the animal origin. So Vietnam actually one of the hotspots for zoonotic diseases, and therefore our group based at OUCRU Vietnam would like to conduct several different studies to investigate more about these diseases. And we actually using different approaches, including epidemiology and genomics to study those. So our group having more than 15 people with a diverse background, including medical doctors, biologists, microbiologists, pharmacists, a social scientist and also a vet. I myself is a vet. So we having different background, but we work on together to cover many different aspects of the zoonotic diseases. And as you can see from the slide, we are currently having several ongoing projects working and focus on three main themes, as you can see, including antibiotic resistance and working with different pathogens. For example, we work with E. coli and Salmonella or gram-negative bacteria in general. And then we also having a research project to work with Streptococcus, and then another project to work with Streptococcus pneumonia in children. So in general, we work on different aspects of the bacteria infection and focus much on the antibiotic resistance. Yep. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you very much, Trum. Thank you for your presentation. And moving on now to our biostatistics team, I'd like to invite Duc to give a short talk.
Thank you, Liz. Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah, thank you. So, hi everyone. My name is Dư Hồng Đức. I'm a postdoc biostatistician at the biostatistic group at the OUCRU based on Ho Chi Minh City. So it's my pleasure today to present my group to you. So first, what is biostatistics? It is briefly, in brief, just a research field focused on analysis and interpretation of the data that are collected on the living organism. So mostly at OUCRU, we focus on the humans, the people, and we also have another subjects like animals, virus, bacteria, and so on. So our whole group consists of 9 members at this moment, including various backgrounds. We are mixed a group of the mathematicians, statisticians by theory, and also applied statistician in health and medical research. So you can see here some of us here. This is an old photo, and I believe that we will update it soon. So sit in the middle, the Professor Ronan Geskus, sitting in the center, and you can recognize me in the white shirt. So the roles of our groups, including support, training, and research. We support and provide advice to a range of statistical issues for the researchers, our staff, and also mainly working with you, so the PhD candidate. And we provide a range of training for each of every year or every 2 years to build capacity in statistical methods via courses or seminars, helping organized by Liz and the team, a training team. And we provide some of the issues, the course on various aspects of the statistic from the basic and also to advanced statistic. With including some of the statistical software used, we are more familiar with, like R. Talking about research, we developed some novel statistic methodology in various fields relevant to the infectious disease at OUCRU. And we involve in all of the part of the study, including considering the study design, determining sample size, as you see here, specifying the data requirement, identify analysis option, and also conduct analysis and study reports. Some of our current research we are focusing on at this moment. First, to build up some prediction models for diagnosis and prognosis for some of the disease such as tuberculosis, tetanus, and COVID-19 recently. And we try to improve the design analysis of clinical trials and observational study as well. One of the study we just done over the last few years is estimation of time from the SARS-CoV-2 infection to symptom onset. That's with the incubation time. So welcome everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc, for a very clear presentation. Excellent. Moving on to our next team, our mathematical modelling team. We have Tin.
Thanks, Lee. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Tin. I'm a PhD student at the Mathematical Modeling Group. I will start with some good news for students. We are considering to accept 2 more interns this year. So if you're interested in any project listed here, please contact us and send your CV with cover letter to training. So the first one is serosurveillance. So you can be vaccinated, but it does not guarantee that you are protected from the disease. So we collect blood samples and then we measure how many successfully produced antibody, meaning that they are protected. And then we use it to estimate the risk of outbreaks. And we are focused on disease that can be prevented by vaccine for this project. So the second one is the Dengue Advanced Readiness Tool. We developed this tool with machine learning to forecast the location, the size, duration of dengue outbreak in real time and in a very high resolution. So we will know whether there will be an outbreak in your home area. And we also work on health economics, which means is the money we pay for a medicine or a treatment worth it? Or should we pay for something else? Is there any better treatment or intervention you should pay for? If you are interested in antimicrobial resistance, we are working on a bacteria called Klebsiella pneumoniae. So we're interested in the evolution of this bacteria. Will it become more toxic or will it become more resistant? And finally, we do participatory modeling. This is an innovative type of modeling. Instead of using mathematical equations and computer programs, we design board games like the UNO or Monopoly, the board games you usually play with your friends or families. And we have the stakeholders to play this game directly. So again, if you're interested in these projects, please send your CV to training. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tin. Okay, next up we have the molecular epidemiology team and Hao.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Hao.
So my name is Hao, and I'm currently a postdoc in the molecular epidemiology group. So what we focus in the group is studying bacterial infections, and a lot of them antibiotic resistant. So what is antibiotic resistant? I mean, a lot of the groups have mentioned about this. So bacteria generally are more ancient than human, and therefore they are master of adaptation in the natural world. So we use antibiotic to treat infections. However, the more antibiotic that we use on the bacteria, the higher chances that the bacteria will become resistant. And once they becoming resistant, they're usually not resistant to one drug, but they're resistant to multiple panels of drugs, making treatment very difficult. So what does it mean? So it means that if we continue to do nothing today, that means in the near future, our children and grandchildren, there will be very high chances that they will die because of antibiotic resistant infections. So in the group, we use multiple techniques. So I usually describe myself as a detective, like the detective Conan here that you see, and using a myriad of different tools. So we have tools that related to clinical study that we collect information from patients, like how infection, what type of infection that have severity in patients, and then the treatment following those infections. And also we also pay a lot of attention to classical or conventional microbiology toolbox. So testing for resistance. And also we are experts in the molecular biology, so looking at the mechanism of resistance and also the fitness of the resistance. And myself is more rooted in the bacterial genomics. So to explain it very simply, that means to look at the sequences or the genetic material of the bacteria in order to identify how the bacteria evolve, how bacteria develop resistance and spread around the globe. So the main task in our group is firstly to understand how resistant bacteria develop resistance and spread in Vietnam, locally in Southeast Asia, and then internationally. And then the second task of group is to develop a better treatment and better diagnosis in order to have better healthcare for Vietnamese people. And we are teams of very young scientists composed of multiple different levels. Also, we have intern students up into the postdoc level, and we generally love fun things and also high quality research. So if you are interested in any of the topic that related to antibiotic resistance or bacterial evolutions in general, please contact us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hao, and beautiful slides. Thank you for your presentation. Okay, and moving on to our newest group in OUCRU is the Social Science and Implementation Research Group. I'd like to welcome Ian.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Ian.
Me well? Okay, so hi, everyone. My name is Ian. I will give you some overview of our work on behalf of my team. So first, let me tell you a story of Miss Min, a 45-year-old lady living in Kantar. She's selling vegetables in a market as a job. And she was diagnosed with hepatitis C in 2010, but she has never properly treated because she could not afford the treatment costs. She visits the Hospital of Tropical Diseases in Ho Chi Minh City every 3 months in the past 10 years to receive liver supplements to maintain her condition. In our studies, Ms. Min tells the story of many other patients who overcome everyday challenges to seek care, from treatment costs to lengthy travel and subtle discrimination they face while having an infectious disease. Patient-centered study allow us to understand those challenges, preventing patients' access to care, as well as their motivation and opportunities, especially those living in poverty and marginalization. To firstly give them a chance to speak out and ultimately to alleviate the obstacle in their journeys and ensure equal access to healthcare. While learning about Ms. Min's care seeking experiences, we found out that there are a lot of systematic problems that needed to be addressed. We therefore conduct many context-centered study to understand the healthcare system, including the infrastructures, health policies, and other social, cultural, economic, and political factors that directly or indirectly affect healthcare behaviors. For example, even though having a social health insurance, Ms. Min decided to pay for the medicines by herself to avoid the complications of using the insurance. So the context-focused study gives broader pictures of the healthcare context, and from there we can come up with more powerful and sustainable solutions. As a research institution, OUCRU pays much attention on conducting our research ethically. We are collaborating with the Global Health Bioethics Network to conduct ethical studies on exploring the informed consent process of clinical trials and other ethical aspects of clinical research. Lastly, we also have applied studies to evaluate the implementation of new innovations in healthcare settings. In the first phase of our collaboration with the emerging infection team, we conducted studies to provide a social technical context of the ICU and evaluate the current policy and technological landscape in order to inform the implementation of digital innovations in the ICU. So last but not least, if our serious work is not attractive enough, I would have to say that our group have the best snack corner in our group, and it's a fun and lovely team. So we hope to welcome you here in our group, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ian. Nice push about the snack corner. I'll remind that when I come into the office on Monday. Thank you so much for your talk. Okay, and moving on to our public and community engagement team, we have Tam.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hello, everyone. I am Tan, the Vice Head of Public and Community Engagement at OUCRU. And so, as I believe you agree that research is done in order to find out answers addressing our challenges. And science is the result of research is to improve our life. And science is to make health of humans, animals, and environment better. So therefore, we could say that science and us, science and society must come and go together. And we may need something like a tool in order to bring them together. And this is where the role of public engagement. So at OUCRU public engagement team, we design engagement platforms. We use participatory methods and material visuals in order to promote interactions, to promote conversation between science professionals and the public together. So we work with young people and empower them to bring the benefits of science to the public. We work with healthcare workers, we work with patients and specific groups in the communities. We work with carers in order to make sure that our research at OUCRU is responsive, relevant, and ethical to them. And we also carry out some study engagement initiatives on urgent health crisis or health challenge, such as engagement around COVID-19 and pandemic of preparedness, or engagement around antimicrobial resistance. And we also do some engagement activities in order to promote a better understanding of the public on hepatitis or leprosy. And on one side of the engagement, on the other side, the public engagement team, we do review, evaluate, and capture good practice evidence, and as well as to document quality materials for public engagement in order to share with others. So welcome to OUCRU and welcome to public and community engagement group. We also have always have opportunities for you available for you to join us. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you very much, Tan, for your lovely presentation and some great photos there. Okay, and last but not least, we have Tuan from our clinical trials unit.
Thank you, Liv. Hi, everyone. My name is Tuan. I'm a research operation manager. You all know a lot of information from research group, and now I am presenting this session focused on the OUCRU clinical trial. We call the CTU, what we are doing and how we are contributing to the OUCRU development. First established in 2006, the CTU network now includes a CTU based in Ho Chi Minh City, with a led by Dr. Evelyn and other satellite centers in Hanoi, Kathmandu, and Jakarta. You can see our 4-team group photos. Generally, we have 2 big teams, operation team and ethics and governance teams, include the research coordinator, study doctor, nurses, data assistant, pharmacist, ethics specialist, contract manager, and research monitors. This network allows for standardizing the policy and procedure in trial management, which ensure the high quality, especially when we are co-enrolling on the collaborative clinical trials. Over the past 50 years, the CTU has worked to increase the research quality and capacity by building the human resources, facilities, oversight, and administrative system necessary for conducting a growing number of clinical trials. You can see the flowchart describe every process that CTU involved, from planning, setup, conduct, analysis, report, and publication, taking in event that CTU has to make sure the process are as smooth as possible. Over the period from 2010 to 2021, the number of teams has doubled, but the number of trials has increased nearly 10 times, with more complicated and variable trial and design. It means that beside the pressure of the high volume of work, we have to make sure the staff maximize their capacity to cover all work that we have to manage. Until now, we have successfully conducted 289 clinical studies and over 60 clinical trials. Besides, we also work with the Ministry of Health to develop the Vietnamese clinical trial legislation. Recently, we support the Vietnam MOS to conduct a project to develop a quality assessment toolkit to assess clinical research site capacity that become the main reference for establishing a new MOS circular in managing whole clinical trial in Vietnam. The result, we also published the result of project into the PGM, the High Impact Medical Journal. Furthermore, we also extend research training program for our collaborator and our network, such as we train them to how can we do research on the ethic. We train about a good clinical practice, research management. How can we monitor the clinical research, and we also a member of data safety monitoring board of the MOH. Last but not least, the CTU not only expanded internally, but through the collaboration and training, we expanded regionally and internationally as well. We have close academic and scientific partnership on some field, such as developing the research units with partner institutions, building the human and infrastructure capacity, providing training and mentorship to support the new clinical research teams, sharing the OUCRU CTU model and procedure across the collaborators. So that is my introduction about the background and organizations of the CTU. Now I would like to hand back to Lee to continue our program. If you have any question, please let me know. And we hopefully we have a chance working together in very clear future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to Tuan for the presentation on the clinical trials unit. A very, very busy team of people, as you can imagine, and that closes our research group presentations. So you've heard from 12 different research groups today. You've heard about lots of interesting research from molecular epidemiology to biostatistics, dengue, etc., etc. What we would like to hear from you now is, which of our research groups did you think that you found the most interesting? And I'm just going to stop sharing slides for the moment and navigate Slido, and you will be able to participate in our poll. So just hang on a very quick second while I navigate to my desktop, and I'll just go briefly to Slido. So you can join our Slido poll by either scanning the QR code or going to slido.com. The number of the active poll that you see in front of you here is 5993743. Okay, so hopefully you can see that okay. I'm just navigating to the chat box. Ian has also given you a direct link in the chat box as well. So while you're having a look and deciding which of our research groups you're most interested in, just a reminder, wow, okay, so you're all navigating. If you scroll down, you will see that we have all of the groups that you have heard from. We have OUCRU Hanoi, we have emerging infections, tuberculosis, malaria, dengue, zoonoses, we have biostatistics, mathematical modelling, molecular epidemiology, our social science and implementation research group, our public community engagement group, and finally our clinical trials unit. So please take a few moments to vote for the research group that you are most interested in. While you do that, I'll have a little scroll through the chat to see what questions have been asked. So just to remind, some people are asking about the requirements for the OUCRU scholarship programme. So you need to have either a master's degree, a medical degree, or a bachelor's degree. We do accept applications straight from bachelor's, but it is more you have got a slightly higher chance if you have a master's degree already. If you've got a medical degree, you can apply straight from that, as long as you're applying to a research project which is of relevance to your expertise and fits with your CV. Somebody else is saying that they work in Da Nang. Can you remotely join the OUCRU team? We have a number of collaborators throughout the country. You would be required to come to Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi regularly for meetings. But if your supervisor, your chosen PhD supervisor, was happy with you working partly remotely in Da Nang, then that would be absolutely fine. That's a discussion to be had with the supervisor. Somebody else has asked about encephalitis projects. Yes, they go on in our emerging infections team. We actually have a PhD student working on diagnosis of brain infections at the moment. What else do we have here? Biostatistics taking the lead at the moment with 23% of our votes. Excellent. Okay. Unfortunately, our OUCRU scholarships are specific to Vietnamese and Indonesian candidates, so apologise to anyone on the call who's not from Vietnam or Indonesia. However, the Field Department of Medicine at Oxford have many, many PhD projects which are advertised alongside ours in September. So you may find a project you're interested in there, and there are also a number of different scholarships and studentships that are available for you. Okay, do you need to contact the professor first to get their approval about their research topic before submitting an application? There's not an absolute prerequisite. You don't have to do that to submit an application, but we strongly recommend you reach out for a chat. Okay, it means that you can get to know more about the research project, and the professor can get to know you a little bit more as well, and you can talk about possibilities related to the project. The requirements for a PhD application, as I already mentioned, for the studentship, you need to be Vietnamese or Indonesian. If you're applying generally to our other partners, then as long as you have a master's, a BSc or a medical degree in the relevant field. For our OUCRU studentships, you also need to have an IELTS score of 7 or above. Okay. Anything else popping up? Oh yeah, there were some people asking about job opportunities. There are always a number of job opportunities going on our website. Each of them have different requirements and qualifications for application. Please go to oucru.org for more information. You can find out what jobs are available. Some people asking about internships. We're a very busy, active research unit. We can't always offer places for you, but of course we love to hear from potential research interns. All you need to do is to submit your CV, a letter from your university to say you're a student there, and a cover letter to let us know what type of research you're interested in, and we will make sure that we can send it to the appropriate research group. Okay, anything else? Some very specific questions about biostatistics. I will leave that to the statistics team. Somebody with a bachelor's degree in pharmacy and a master of public health. Yep, sounds an absolutely perfect fit for many of our projects. Great. Okay, so I think all of you should have had a chance to vote. I'll give you another 1 minute because it seems like a very tight competition at the moment. Remember that we have lots of research groups, so make sure you check out all of them before you vote. Okay, I'm going to close the poll in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm locking the voting. And just a last vote there for biostatistics and social science implementation. So it seems that biostats, thank you to Duck, and social science and implementation, thank you, Ian, who's also one of our current DPhil students at Oxford. Seems like they grabbed your interest the most, closely followed by zoonoses. But thank you to all of our speakers today for introducing your research, and thank you all for listening so far. Please bear with me while I stop sharing and I go back to my slide deck. Okay, actually, let me stop a second. Just make sure that we've got sound turned on for the remainder of the presentation. Yes, we do. Okay, thank you for voting. That was just a little bit of fun. Okay, so I also want to say that looking at OUCRU from a global standpoint, and all of these research groups together contribute to helping us foster a really strong research culture. And we're really committed to supporting our students and staff, old and new. And I would like to show you another short video to give you a flavour of what being part of OUCRU is all about and how we support our students and staff.
The thing that defines OUCRU's culture at the moment is a spirit of endeavour and collaboration that is really unusual. I think that's what people feel when they walk into this building, and that's what we need to maintain.
Hey, how are you?
Ready?
Take satu. OUCRU has been really successful in terms of developing and growing homegrown scientists. We have a number of graduates through our programmes and OUCRU staff who've gone on to senior positions in other institutions and in government, for example. Our PhD programme at OUCRU is also incredibly successful. We've graduated over 100 PhD students since we started our programme. And in actual fact, the students at the moment, our student body, over 90% of these are actually homegrown. They're local, so being Vietnamese, Indonesian, Nepalese, for example. And that's actually pretty representative of our history of graduating students.
So I think through OUCRU, I received a lot of things. So I received training, support from a group of supervisors in different areas.
OUCRU particularly pays attention to the development of researchers with support resources that you hardly can find in any other research institutes in the country and also in the region.
Over the years, I have received much support through the OUCRU program, which allow me to have more study, especially in epidemiology during the COVID pandemic and also another research studies. I have been fortunate to be part of the Make Difference program, and it has been beneficial for me in so many ways, such as developing a successful and productive team, training to be part of the coaching and mentoring-ship for the new students.
One of the initiatives that was started is called OWLS, and OWLS stands for OUCRU Women Leaders in Science. We developed that group because we felt that young researchers needed to see strong female role models, female researchers, female leaders, but also they expressed a need to network, to develop their careers. One of the achievements that we're very proud of is the development of a mentorship scheme, because we really want to be able to offer our young researchers all the tools they need to develop a successful career in science.
We want to support scientists right from the level of BSc through their career pathway to enable them to reach their full potential.
I think it's the support, the environment and the freedom. And I think that we've been so lucky to be funded by Wellcome to develop our own scientific career.
So OUCRU also gave me many precious opportunities to do clinical research in Vietnam, to become the head of a research group, to receive 2 Wellcome Trust Fellowship and have more funding from international networks.
When being a Wellcome Fellow, I have more recognition and credentials in the research field. I'm becoming more confident in expressing my own research contributions and more confident in reaching out and connecting with prominent researchers in the world.
I'm also a recipient of the Wellcome Fellowship, and it has brought me to the new level to be independent scientist.
I want to train more PhD students, Vietnamese PhD students. I want to, inspire them to do science that would, strengthen the scientific capacity here in Vietnam.
I am now trying to pass on what I received by continued training, mentoring, and creating more opportunities for my students and my group member.
So the ultimate objective is to produce scientists from the region who are capable of standing up and doing internationally competitive science. I think my job as a leader is as a catalyst. I am here to try and make things happen. Therefore, the style required for that is one of inclusivity, one of listening, one of transparency, and that's what I endeavour to bring to the programme. And I hope that that manifests itself through the programme as part of the culture that we create here in OUCRU.
I think the research culture that's been cultivated in OUCRU has been very important for its success. There's several key elements. It's a multinational collaboration, it's inquiring, it's flexible, it's reactive, and it's highly effective. And I think it's a tribute to everyone who's worked in the unit.
OUCRU is about building future leaders. It doesn't begin and end with PhDs, and I think that's really, really important. It's the transferable aspect of what we're trying to do, as well as encouraging future scientists to look beyond the lab and the clinic into how they can make a difference in their communities.
Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed that short video. And perhaps importantly, we're going to close with two very, very interesting guests, because they're currently going through the process of a PhD. They're just starting their journey, actually. So I'd like to start by inviting Tin, who you already heard from the mathematical modelling team, but he's going to give us some more information on his journey. Tin.
Thanks, Lee. I have slides, so could you show the slide? Yeah, thank you. So, hello everyone, my name is Tan. I'm a first-year PhD student at the Mathematical Modeling Group. I think if you are considering a PhD position at OUCRU, then there are two things you are most curious about. How did a person got the scholarship, and what is the life of a PhD student at OUCRU be like? So, about how I got here, I graduated as a preventive medicine doctor from the University of Medicine and Pharmacy at Ho Chi Minh City in 2018. I was the only student got the excellent rank in the history of my field and the highest GPA in the history of the school in my field also. Then I continuously worked as a research assistant in many different types of research, including clinical trials, bioinformatics, epidemiology, mathematical modeling. And since 2021, I joined OUCRU in the mathematical modeling group. I had quite a diverse background. And when I applied for the PhD scholarship, I had published 9 peer-reviewed articles, 1 oral presentation, 1 book chapter, and 4 open source software. Well, I have never studied abroad, and I don't have a master's degree, because a lot of people are asking this in the chat box. So I think if you are like me, you should try to prove that you are serious in research and be more productive. You can show that you have some achievements in research, and it could help in your application. Now, what is doing PhD at OUCRU feel like? I think I have changed a lot since I joined OUCRU. So if you surround yourself with good people, I think you will gradually become better, because the research culture here is very supportive. OUCRU has internal funding scheme to support early career researchers. And if you successfully secure the funding, you can conduct your own research. You can make your own idea to do your research. And this can be very important to some people I know. You will receive a lot of training. And I have to say thank you for the training team to do such a great job. There will be a lot of training of transferable skills such as communication, teaching, networking. We have a mentorship program that you can have somebody you admire to be your mentor. And Dr. Lee Jones is my mentor. She's a wonderful person, and she's always a role model. And I try to improve myself that way. And you can be her mentee too if you join OUCRU. Because we're based in Vietnam, so I think I get the best of both worlds. I got the education of Oxford, while I can also make local impact with my research, and I can collaborate with local institutions. So in my case, I'm collaborating very closely with the Ho Chi Minh City Centers for Disease Control, the HCDC, and we can discuss and we can turn the research into application. You will have opportunity to travel a lot, not only between the UK and Vietnam, but also go to the US, Europe, Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, all over the world. Of course, you travel for work, but when you have the visa, then you can travel for vacation later. I also have the chance to join a lot of regional network, like Southeast Asia Network, Asia Pacific Network. They will be very helpful to your career path. And because I'm staying in the region, so it will be much more easier to go to the meeting to meet people from the area, from the region. And I think it will be more difficult to join if you are living or studying in another continent. So that's it. I'm glad that I'm a PhD student at OUCRU, and I look forward to welcoming you guys to join us. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you so much for the kind words. It's always a pleasure to support you, and it's great to see you starting your journey. All right, so last but not least, Kim Ann.
Yeah. So this is the last presentation. I hope everyone's still awake. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kim An. I am the first year PhD student at OUCRU. So it's my pleasure to have a short talk today to sharing about my story, about my academic career. So let's get started at the beginning of my venture. So a brief summary about my background. I am a medical doctor, and after graduation from medical school in 2018, I have worked at STD, the Hospital for Tropical Disease, as a junior ICU physician. And at the adult ICU, it's the workplace where I meet my supervisor and learn about doing research. And so for the first pictures taken in front of the ICU, and this was the visit of the former British ambassador to Vietnam, this Garrett work. So it's the first time I heard about the scholarship, the UK government international scholarship for leaders from around the world to pursue a 1-year master's degree at the UK. And then the second picture, I'm here 2 years later. I have been awarded a traveling scholarship. So that take me to Oxford, where I taken my master in 2021. It's when the COVID-19 pandemic hit the Ho Chi Minh City and also Vietnam, but luckily I can go to the UK and complete my master. I would say this master marked an important milestone in my academic career. It had changed my life. And the third picture was my graduation ceremony at Oxford. It's only 8 months ago in November 2022. And then after master, I'm looking for a PhD opportunity because I think it's the best way to become a real clinical researcher. And so that's why here I am. Now I'm the first year of very hard adventure, but it's so excited. And I would like to introduce, this is the woman in the front of the slide. She's Louise Trice, she associate professor at Oxford, and also a senior clinical researcher. And she's my first supervisor, and also a wholehearted supporter and a friend throughout my journey to become. Now I'm on my way to become a clinical researcher. So, Lee, can you go to the next slide, Lee? So in summary, a doctor can become a clinical researcher by taking a master and also the PhD. And I think this is very important because it's essential to improve how medicine practice, to cure more patients and to save more lives. So I would like to give you a take-home message. So at the beginning, you cannot believe how far you will go, but I'm 100% sure that your dream will come true if you trace your dreams to the end. So lastly, I hope that you will be inspired by my story, and thanks for your listening.
Thank you so much, Kim Ann, for such a heartfelt presentation, and it's lovely to keep supporting you on this journey. A long few years ahead of you, both you and Tin, but I'm sure you'll do great. Let the hard work begin. Okay, so there's been a lot of question and answer going on in the chat box. I am going to stick around on the call until 4 o'clock. If anyone does want a live chat or, to talk through their options, etc. But this is your opportunity of the presentation to raise your hand, to ask any question you want live. Otherwise, you continue to pop in the chat box if you're feeling a little bit shy, or you can email us later at training@oucru.org. Okay. In the meantime, you can also follow OUCRU on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. If you've got some nice comments to make, or you've learned something cool in this presentation today, you can tweet about us or chat about us on Facebook with the hashtag OUCRU Open Day. We also have another QR code here, and Ian has also popped a link in the chat box to provide us with feedback on this event. Okay, if there's something we could do better next time, or if there's any ideas you have to make this a more interesting event, we'd love to hear from you. Okay, and we said we'd be finished by 4. We're nice and early. Okay, so if you want to stick around and chat with me, please do feel free. Otherwise, thank you for joining us today. Do leave your feedback, and if you want any further information, visit oucru.org or drop us an email, training@oucru.org. We look forward to receiving your applications. Okay, welcome and thank you to all of us. Okay, so there are a couple of questions in the chat. I intend to start my PhD application as old as 13